Welcome back to the Lore Vault. It's good to see you here, seeker of stories.
Stop. Take everything you think you know about Norse mythology, everything you've learned from comic books, blockbuster movies, and video games, and throw it into the fire. You have been lied to. You have been sold a sanitized, polished version of a world that was originally defined by blood, inevitability, and doom. You probably think Thor is the apex predator of the heavens. You probably think Odin is an benevolent, all-powerful grandfather figure sitting on a golden throne. But in the original Eddas, the ancient texts that actually define these gods, strength isn't measured by how many frost giants you can smash with a hammer in slow motion. In the grim reality of the Viking worldview, true strength is measured by one thing only: your capacity to survive the end of the world. We are ranking the top 5 strongest Norse gods, stripping away the Hollywood glamour to reveal the brutal truth. And I guarantee you, the god sitting at number 1 is someone you might not even recognize, but he is the only one capable of doing what Thor and Odin could not. Welcome to the true hierarchy of Asgard. Before we ascend the throne of power, we must understand the arena we are stepping into. To the Vikings, gods were not immortal. They were not eternal beings who could snap their fingers and rewrite reality. They were powerful, yes, but they were also biological entities. They could bleed, they could starve, and most importantly, they could die. The entire Norse pantheon lives under the shadow of a prophecy known as Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods. This is not just a battle, it is a predetermined extinction event. Every god knows their date of death. They know who will kill them. They know how it happens. Therefore, when we rank the strongest gods, we are looking at 3 criteria. First, raw physical power, the ability to alter the landscape and destroy enemies. Second, magical potency, the mastery over the runic forces that bind the universe. And third, and perhaps most critical, their destiny. In a world where fate is written in stone, the ability to defy death, or at least endure it longer than others, is the ultimate form of power. Let's begin the countdown.
Rank number 5, Tyr, the god of war and justice.
At number 5, we have a god who has been criminally overlooked in modern media. In the movies, he is often relegated to a background character, or worse, entirely absent. But in the ancient world, before Odin rose to absolute prominence, there is evidence suggesting that Tyr was once the chief god of the Germanic peoples. His name literally translates to God. Tyr is the god of war. But unlike the Greek Ares, who represents the chaotic, bloodthirsty frenzy of battle, Tyr represents the other side of war: strategy, justice, and the law. He is the soldier's god, the one who governs the rules of engagement. But do not mistake his sense of order for weakness. Tyr's placement on this list is earned through an act of courage that no other god, not even Thor or Odin, dared to perform. This brings us to the pop culture versus reality check. In modern portrayals, we often see gods losing limbs in battle or through tragic accidents. But Tyr lost his hand voluntarily. The story of the binding of Fenrir is the ultimate testament to his power. The gods were terrified of the wolf Fenrir. Loki's son was growing at an alarming rate, a beast of prophecy, destined to devour Odin himself. They tried to bind him with heavy chains, but Fenrir shattered them like glass. Finally, the dwarves forged Gleipnir, a ribbon seemingly made of silk, but crafted from impossible ingredients like the sound of a cat's footfall and the roots of a mountain.
Fenrir, sensing a trap, refused to be bound unless one of the gods placed their hand in his mouth as a pledge of good faith. The gods looked at each other. Thor hesitated. Odin looked away. They knew the wolf would bite. They knew the sacrifice required. Only Tyr stepped forward. He calmly placed his right hand, his sword hand, into the maw of the beast. When the ribbon tightened and Fenrir realized he was trapped, he clamped down. Tyr did not scream. He did not beg. He accepted the loss of his hand as the price for the safety of Asgard. Why is he number 5? Tyr possesses immense combat skill and bravery that eclipses almost everyone else in Asgard. A god of war with one hand is still more dangerous than 1,000 armies. However, he ranks lower because his power is defined by martial skill and sacrifice rather than the world-ending elemental force that the higher-ranked gods possess. In Ragnarok, Tyr is destined to fight Garmr, the hellhound guarding the underworld. It is a battle of mutual destruction. Tyr kills the beast, but the beast kills him. He is a warrior of the highest order, but he falls just short of the cosmic breakers ahead of him.
Rank number 4. Heimdall, the White God.
Coming in at number 4 is the watchman of the gods, Heimdall. If your image of Heimdall is merely a gatekeeper who stands around waiting to open the Bifrost for Thor, then you have been misled. Heimdall is a powerhouse of sensory perception and endurance, a figure so enigmatic that some scholars argue he is one of the oldest deities in the pantheon. Heimdall is known as the White God, a title suggesting a radiance and purity that sets him apart. His strength does not lie in muscle mass, but in omniscience on a localized scale. The Eddas tell us that his senses are absolute. He can hear the wool growing on the back of a sheep. He can hear the grass pushing up through the soil. He requires less sleep than a bird. His vision penetrates the darkest night and spans where hundreds of leagues. In a physical confrontation, you cannot ambush Heimdall. You cannot surprise him. Before you have even decided to throw a punch, he has heard your muscles contract. He wields the sword Hofond, and he is the keeper of the Gjallarhorn, the horn that will signal the end of the world. But why does he rank above Tyr, the god of war? Because Heimdall is destined to be the slayer of Loki.
In modern cinema, Loki is often treated as a trickster, an anti-hero who uses knives and illusions. But in the mythology, by the time of Ragnarok, Loki is a monstrous force of chaos. He is the father of the monsters that destroy the world. He leads the army of the dead and the giants against Asgard, and it is Heimdall who engages him. The rivalry between Heimdall and Loki is legendary. They have fought before Ragnarok, most notably over the necklace Brisingamen, where they both transformed into seals and battled in the ocean. This shape-shifting ability implies that Heimdall too has mastery over magic and form that goes beyond simple swordsmanship. When the final battle comes, Heimdall and Loki kill each other. To stalemate a god who has the blood of giants and the cunning to outsmart Odin implies a level of combat prowess that is terrifying. Heimdall is not just a guard, he is the first line of defense and arguably the most vigilant warrior in existence. He sees the end coming before anyone else, and he stands his ground until the very last breath. However, despite his incredible senses and his victory over Loki, Heimdall falls to the same fate as Tyr, mutual destruction. He does not survive the end, and compared to the top three, his offensive output is limited to single combat. He can kill a god, but can he shatter mountains or rewrite the laws of magic? The next three deities operate on a scale that makes single combat look like child's play. We are now entering the realm of the heavyweights. The gap between number 4 and number 3 is significant. We are moving from warriors and guardians to entities that embody the fundamental forces of the universe: magic, storms, and vengeance. The next god on our list is often considered the supreme being, the ruler of all. But, as we are about to discover, political power does not always equate to the ultimate physical dominance required to survive the apocalypse. He sacrificed an eye for wisdom. He hung himself from the world tree for power. But is it enough to save him?
Rank number 3. Odin, the Allfather, the Lord of the Hanged.
At number 3, we reach the king of Asgard himself, Odin. Now pause for a moment. You are likely asking, how is the Allfather only number 3? Isn't he the most powerful being in the 9 realms? This brings us to the most significant pop culture versus reality conflict in Norse history. In modern movies, Odin is portrayed as a benevolent grandfatherly figure, a wise king who seeks peace and rules with a gentle hand. He is the protector of the realms. This is a lie. The Odin of the Eddas is terrifying. He is not a god of peace. He is a god of war, of frenzy, of poetry, and most disturbingly, of death. He is a necromancer. He wanders the battlefield not to save lives, but to steal the souls of the dead for his own army. Odin's power is undeniable, but it is a different kind of strength than pure physical might. His power is knowledge, bought with blood. Let's look at his arsenal. Odin wields Gungnir, a spear forged by dwarves that is enchanted with a singular, terrifying property. It never misses. Once thrown, destiny bends to ensure the target is struck. He rides Sleipnir, an 8-legged horse that can traverse dimensions, crossing the boundaries between the living and the dead. He commands the Valkyries
and the Einharar, the spirits of slain warriors.
But his greatest weapon is magic, specifically the runes. Odin did not learn magic in a library. He sacrificed himself to himself. The texts tell us he hung from Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 days and 9 nights, pierced by his own spear, staring down into the abyss without food or water until the secrets of the runes revealed themselves to him. He tore out his own right eye just for a drink from the well of Mimir to gain cosmic wisdom. So why is he only number 3? Why isn't the master of magic at the top? Because for all his wisdom, for all his foresight, and for all his armies, Odin is paralyzed by fate. His entire existence is defined by his fear of Ragnarok. He knows exactly how he dies. He spends thousands of years preparing for the final battle, gathering the greatest army in history, and yet it changes nothing. When the end comes, Odin does not fight a glorious duel against a fellow god. He engages Fenrir, the great wolf, and in the most anticlimactic and brutal moment in mythology, the Allfather is swallowed whole. He is eaten. His magic does not save him. His spear does not save him. His wisdom does not save him. He dies early in the battle, leaving the rest of the gods to fight on without their leader. Odin represents the pinnacle of preparation and magical supremacy, but he lacks the raw physical durability to survive the jaws of destiny. He is the mind of Asgard, but he is not its strongest muscle.
Before we unleash the thunder with our runner-up, a quick question. Did you know about Odin's fate before this video? If you're enjoying this deep dive into the real dark history of mythology, miles away from the movie versions, please take a second to hit that like button. It helps us find more mythology fans like you. And if you want to be here for the next breakdown, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Now, let's talk about the one god everyone expects to see. Sometimes it's just the sound of someone loading their weapon.
If Odin is the terrifying intellect of the North, then the next god on our list is its beating heart and its clenched fist. He is the one you expected to be number 1. He is the defender of mankind.
Rank number 2, Thor, the god of thunder.
Rank number 2, Thor. Let's immediately address the pop culture versus reality distortion. The Hollywood Thor is a noble, blonde superhero who talks like a Shakespearean actor and learns lessons about humility. The mythological Thor? He is a red-headed, red-bearded monster of a man. He is not particularly bright. He is short-tempered, violent, gluttonous, and absolutely unstoppable. While Odin is worshipped by kings and jarls, Thor is worshipped by the common people. Why? Because while Odin is plotting in the shadows, Thor is out there bashing the skulls of giants who threaten humanity. Thor takes the number 2 spot because, in terms of raw physical strength, he has no equal. The Eddas state explicitly that his strength is amplified by 3 critical artifacts. First, Mjolnir, the hammer. In the myths, this isn't just a magical boomerang. It is a weapon of such immense weight and power that it requires the other two artifacts just to wield it effectively. He needs Yarngrape, the iron gloves, to grip the handle without shattering it, and Megangyrd, the belt of power, which literally doubles his already godlike strength. With this loadout, Thor is a planetary threat. He once drank so much from a horn that he unknowingly lowered the sea levels of the world, creating the tides. He wrestled old age itself to a standstill. He lifted the Midgard serpent, a beast that encircles the entire globe, almost pulling it out of the ocean.
But his placement at number 2 is cemented by his role in Ragnarok. Unlike Odin, who falls to a beast, Thor successfully kills his nemesis. Thor's final battle is against Jormungandr, the world serpent. This is the heavyweight title fight of the apocalypse. The serpent is so large, its breath poisons the sky and the sea. Thor faces this monstrosity alone. He summons every ounce of thunder, every shred of strength, and he smashes the serpent's skull, killing the greatest monster to ever exist. He wins. He stands victorious. But then the tragedy of the number 2 spot strikes. The myth says Thor steps 9 paces away from the serpent, and then he falls. The poison of the serpent is too potent. Even the strongest god, the greatest warrior, the protector of Midgard, cannot survive the venom. He dies seconds after his victory. This is why Thor is not number 1. He has the offensive output to kill the world-ending threat, proving he is physically stronger than Odin, and stronger than the beast that kills Odin. But he does not have the survivability. He trades his life for the kill. It is a draw. To be the true strongest god, you cannot just win the fight. You have to walk away from it. And that leads us to the final rank. The god who stands at number 1 is not a king. He is not a celebrity. He is a silent executioner. He is the one who steps into the blood-soaked battlefield after Odin has been eaten, and Thor has collapsed, and he does what they could not. He is the god of silence, and his time has come.
You might be scrambling to search his name. You might be wondering who is left. The god at number 1 is the answer to the question, what happens when the music stops? He is the vengeance that even death cannot stop. He possesses a secret weapon, something so mundane, so strange, that you will hardly believe it is the key to saving the universe. In the final part of our ranking, we will reveal the true king of survival, the god who rips the jaws of death apart with his bare hands. Stay tuned.
Rank number 1, Vidar, the silent god.
And now we arrive at the apex, the number 1 position. If you were to walk down a street and ask 1,000 people to name a Norse god, they would say Thor, they would say Odin, they might even say Loki. It is statistically probable that not a single one of them would say the name Vidar. Vidar is the blind spot of pop culture. He does not have a comic book franchise. He does not have action figures. In the great halls of Valhalla, he sits quietly, saying nothing. He is known as the silent god. But silence, as we are about to learn, is not
emptiness, it is focus. Vidar is the son of Odin and the giantess Greed. This lineage is crucial. From his father, he inherits the status of a god. From his mother, a frost giantess, he inherits the raw, primal strength of the earth itself. The Eddas describe him as nearly as strong as Thor. Note the word nearly. In a bench press contest, Thor might edge him out, but we are not measuring strength by gym statistics. We are measuring it by the ability to survive the impossible. While Odin was gathering armies and Thor was hunting trolls, Vidar was preparing for one singular moment in time. His entire existence was engineered for a specific few seconds during Ragnarok. Let's go back to the battlefield. The sky is torn open. The world tree Yggdrasil is burning. Odin, the king of gods, has just been devoured by Fenrir. The great wolf, whose upper jaw touches the sky and lower jaw touches the earth, has just swallowed wisdom, magic, and royalty in one bite. Thor is dead, poisoned by the serpent. The world is ending. Hope is gone.
In this moment of absolute despair, Vidar stands up. He does not summon lightning. He does not cast a spell. He simply walks across the battlefield towards the beast that just killed the most powerful magician in existence. This brings us to the most bizarre and fascinating artifact in all of Norse mythology, the Iron Shoe. You heard that correctly. Vidar's ultimate weapon is not a hammer, nor a spear. It is a boot. But this is no ordinary footwear. According to the myths, this shoe has been crafted since the beginning of time. Every time a human shoemaker trimmed a piece of leather from the toe or heel of a shoe and discarded it, that scrap was collected by the gods to forge Vidar's shoe. It represents the collective contribution of humanity to the war effort. It is literally the thickest, most indestructible object in the universe. Vidar approaches Fenrir. The wolf, high on the blood of Odin, turns to devour him. And this is where Vidar earns the #1 spot. He places his foot, shod in that massive iron shoe, onto the lower jaw of the wolf. The beast bites down, a force that should shatter mountains, but the shoe holds. It is immovable. It is absolute. Then, with his bare hands, Vidar grabs the wolf's upper jaw. Thor needed a hammer to kill a serpent. Odin needed a spear to mark his enemies. Vidar needs nothing but his grip. With a roar that finally breaks his silence, Vidar tears the wolf apart. He rips the jaws of Fenrir asunder, cleaving the beast in two from mouth to tail. He avenges his father. He kills the God-Eater. And most importantly, he survives. When the fires of Surt burn the world to ash and the oceans rise to swallow the land, Vidar does not perish. Along with his brother Vali and Thor's sons, he steps out of the wreckage. He lives to see the sun rise on a new world. Why is Vidar #1? Because true strength is not about how loud you scream or how bright your lightning flashes. True strength is the ability to endure the worst thing imaginable: the death of your father, the death of your king,
the end of the world and still be standing when the dust settles. Vidar is the god of survival. He is the vengeance that outlives the crime. In the grim calculus of the North, the last man standing is the strongest, and that man is Vidar.
So, let us look at our hierarchy one last time. At number 5, Tyr, who sacrificed his hand for honor. At number 4, Heimdall, who sees all and kills the agent of chaos. At number 3, Odin, who conquered magic but could not conquer fate. At number 2, Thor, who possessed the greatest might but paid the ultimate price. And at number 1, Vidar, the silent avenger, who conquered death itself. This list is more than just a ranking. It is a window into the Viking soul. They did not worship perfection. They worshipped functionality. They understood that being the king, Odin, or the hero, Thor, often meant you were destined to die for your people. But the survivor, Vidar, the survivor represents the future. The modern media gives us gods who are indestructible superheroes. The myths give us gods who are tragic, flawed, and mortal. And frankly, the mythological version is far more compelling. It tells us that even gods must face their end, and that strength is defined by how you meet that end. Do you hide? Do you run? Or do you step into the jaws of the wolf and tear it apart?
Now I turn the question to you. Did we get it right? Is survivability really the ultimate measure of strength? Or should Thor be number 1 simply because he hits the hardest? There is a massive debate among scholars about whether Odin's magic should trump Vidar's brute force. I want to see your ranking in the comments below. Who is your top 5? And be honest, had you ever heard of Vidar before this video? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the real bloody history of Norse mythology, hit that subscribe button. We have only scratched the surface. Next time, we might have to talk about the children of Loki, the monsters that actually terrified these gods. You don't want to miss that. Until then, remember, silence is not weakness. Sometimes it's just the sound of someone loading their weapon.
Thanks for watching. Until next time, keep seeking the lore.